Kazakhstan's Central Election Commission summed up the preliminary results of voting in the snap presidential election. Interim President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev received 70.76% of votes, followed by Amirjan Kosanov with 16.2% of votes. Dania Yespaeva won 5.2% and Toleutai Rahimbekov received 3.2% of votes. 2.7% of the electorate voted for Amangildy Taspikhov, and 1.83% of votes gave their votes to Zhambyl Ahmedbekov. Sadibek Tugel scored less than 1%.
International politicians and business people have closely observed the snap election in Kazakhstan on June 9th. German entrepreneurs interested in the stability and fairness of the Kazakh market observed the voting process to ensure transparency and legitimacy of the election.
Deutschland sehr viel Investitionen in Kasachstan tätigen möchte.
Representatives of German business are closely monitoring the elections in Kazakhstan since Germany has large investments in Kazakhstan and is planning to continue to invest here. In addition to business, I do politics. Therefore, I'm observing the democratic voting process. The presidential election in Kazakhstan is an important political and historical event, many international experts agree. Director of the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group on Cooperation with Kazakhstan, Bob Stewart, believes that successful organization of the snap presidential election will contribute to the development of democracy in Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan will go on to become a great nation in the 21st century. It is fantastic there are elections. It is fantastic that Kazakhstan is doing as well as it is at the moment. And it's quite clear to me that in the by the second half of this century, Kazakhstan will be a great nation. Well, I think that everything is being put in place by the President Nursultan. It is put in place, and actually democracy is being shown by this election and will continue.
Representatives of 9 international organizations from 40 countries monitored the voting process in the snap presidential election in Kazakhstan. Many said the organization was at a high level. The fact that every Kazakh citizen could find his or her polling station on the e-government website showed that the election was conducted in a very systematic way, the observers said.
Организовано все очень грамотно. Мы наблюдаем здесь электронную систему, которая позволяет избирателю узнать номер своего избирательного участка.
People were very well informed. There were a lot of people, but the bulletins were distributed fast and there was no queue. This indicates that the voting process was well organized. There were no violations during our visits to the polling stations. We have every reason to believe that the election was democratic.
Избиратели в большом количестве приходят голосовать. Все они быстро получают бюллетени и не толпятся.
Observers highlighted that voters were very active. Members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Mediterranean, Jonas Florina Urkan, said there was a large turnout of young people at the polling stations.
Everybody be convinced who voting have the answer after the counting of the voting. So I repeat, I was good surprised to see so many young people there in the section. Like my colleagues say, it's one of the last one what we visit. He was the line, I don't know, 40-50 person who waiting to voting. This is new for us. He was last time. He was never line waiting to voting.
Kazakhstan's macroeconomic, political and social stability are the main factors of the country's investment attractiveness. Foreign business people speak highly of the various measures undertaken by the Kazakh government aimed to create favorable investment environment. Accessibility of the government agencies' support and highly developed telecommunication infrastructure are among the main advantages enjoyed by foreign investors. American investors are leading in foreign direct investment in the Kazakh economy.
Very exciting. Kazakhstan is a place that is so exciting because of all the recent changes that has gone on. The population is so beautiful. The the environment and economic climate is one that is really setting itself up for the future. The international banking system that is there, the international arbitration system to show transparency for the country. Kazakhstan and the changes that they've done recently, I think that really it is a new world in Eurasia with Kazakhstan being central.
Investors from the United States are interested in developing cooperation in industries as oil and mining sectors, transportation, logistics, science, and engineering. At the moment, there are more than 500 U.S. invested companies operating in Kazakhstan. According to foreign entrepreneurs, establishment of the National Investment Attraction Company in Kazakhstan allowed to facilitate the partnership environment in the country.
Это организация, которая помогает нам понять инвестиционные возможности, которые открыты в Казахстане, и непосредственно выйти на...
This investment organization helps us have a better understanding about Kazakhstan's investment capacities and establish contacts with specific people in order to cooperate on joint business projects. As an international business relations expert, I would like to mention that cooperation with the Kazakh government creates favorable investment environment for us. I know that many American companies are interested to cooperate with Kazakhstan.
Благоприятную инвестиционную атмосферу. Я видела очень много американских компаний, которые проявили интерес к сотрудничеству.
The amount of local content of the Kazakh military vehicle assembly plant has grown 30%. The manufacturer in eastern Kazakhstan will soon adopt Euro 5 environmental standards. The majority of the military vehicles assembled here are used by the domestic troops, specifically the National Ulan Guard, as well as the border security services. This year, the Kazakh Ministry of Defense has made a new order. Oil and gas companies are also purchasing high-end trucks made by the plant. The company's management is planning to launch manufacturing of fire trucks. An additional line for manufacturing modern city and suburban buses was launched last year. Our specialists have been trained in order to work with the introduced equipment and technologies. Now the specialists put into practice everything they learned. We have received additional orders for fire trucks. We intend to increase the amount of local content in production. For this purpose, we're going to produce spare parts for the equipment. Milk, yogurt, butter are essential items of Kyrgyzstan's exports. Since the beginning of the year, Kyrgyz producers exported more than 400 tons of products to the neighboring countries. The production process at the dairy plants located in the Joly region is fully automated. The milk undergoes filtering, refrigeration, and quality testing. The product's physical and chemical and microbiological properties are assessed at a special laboratory.
Проверяем на термоустойчивость, жир проверяем.
We test heat stability, fat content, and purity of the products. We conduct tests of raw milk in the admission laboratory. We perform the antibiotics tests as well. If the milk does not meet the requirements, we don't accept it.
Если не соответствует нашей программе, то мы уже это молоко не принимаем.
The factory output meets the food security requirements. The enterprise was one of the first entities to be listed in the register of the Eurasian Economic Union. The dairy plant in Kans started exporting its output long before Kyrgyzstan became Eurasian Economic Union member country. 2018 was a breakthrough year for the factory as the enterprise was named the best exporter among other similar plants in the Union.
Вся наша продукция, которая на данный момент выпускается, она соответствует...
Our dairy factory produces output that at the moment meets the technical requirements of the customs union. As of the end of May, the plant exported 120 tons of butter to foreign countries. The dairy factory also exports raw and pasteurized milk to neighboring Kazakhstan. Our plant exported 300 tons of milk. Our dairy factory also exports milk powder. Kyrgyzstan has become full member of the Eurasian Economic Union 4 years ago. Analysts believe that Kyrgyzstan's joining of the union had a positive effect on the exports of the products made in Kyrgyzstan.
Наше предприятие которые работают в сфере.
The enterprise operates in the sector of meat and dairy production. The factory is eligible to join the Eurasian Economic Union register independently and sell their output in the markets of the member countries. Meanwhile, our trade turnover values are constantly increasing. For instance, our trade turnover in 2018 has increased 7% and totaled more than $6 billion.
Вырос на 7% и составил более чем $6 миллиардов США.
Export values of dairy and food products are increasing in Kyrgyzstan every year. The republic sells manufactured products and also delivers raw milk to the markets of the neighboring countries. Kazakhstan is set to start selling fuel products to Kyrgyzstan. The gasoline delivery is scheduled to start in July. Kazakhstan is planning to export nearly 1.2 million tons of gasoline to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Experts believe that gasoline produced in Kazakhstan will be more affordable in these markets. Non-governmental organizations of Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Japan signed a document aimed at promoting sustainable development in Central Asia. As part of the new partnership deal, the parties will establish a platform to exchange ideas between experts in major cooperation sectors. These developments are outlined in the national development strategies of Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan and involve Japan's experience. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is set to increase the volume of investments in Kyrgyzstan from current 15 million euros to 100 million euros. The priority investment sectors include water supply, irrigation, agriculture, energy and mining industries. Joint efforts of the EBRD and Kyrgyzstan allowed completing projects in energy, development of medium and small businesses, strengthening of the financial sector and supply of clean drinking water. Serbian film director Emir Kusturica is planning to shoot a new film about Genghis Khan in 2020. The film will be based on a novel by Kyrgyz writer Cengiz Aytmatov. The film will take place in Russia, including the Caucasus and Siberia. The director announced these plans at the International Film Festival titled Hero and Time. The National Chamber of Entrepreneurs is giving to approximately 100,000 young Kazakhs an opportunity to learn entrepreneurial skills as part of the Jaz Kasıpkir educational project. Under this program, young people aged between 18 and 29 years can take a free training. According to the spokesperson of the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, individual support of a business coach will be provided for every startup. Young entrepreneurs will be able to win scholarships and financing of their projects, which will serve as the initial capital to starting a business.
Обучение в рамках проекта «Jaz Kasıpkir», который...
Training under the Jaz Kasıpkir project includes the fundamentals of doing business, information on microloans and grant options. Youth in large families are in the priority for non-repayable grants worth almost 500,000 tenge for the development of their business ideas. People who want to start a business or a startup project are trained as part of the Jaz Kasıpkir or Bastau programs. Then they receive funding. There are certain selection criteria that determine the feasibility of an idea. The Entrepreneurship Chamber has launched an online educational platform called Atamikin Academy, available for novice business people. The online courses offer training in the fundamentals of doing business. According to the project initiators, this online platform will allow creating a new community of young entrepreneurs who can then network between themselves. Students of the Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Akhtubia invented a mobile application to help blind citizens. The development is available in English, but the information will soon be accessible in Kazakh and Russian. Kazakh and foreign specialists were impressed by the project developed by the school students. The invention was among top 5 projects at the international IT competition held in Nur-Sultan. The young developers are preparing to compete at the finale. The application now allows identifying text, while facial recognition and spatial orientation are under development.
Біріншісі бұл геоданные, яғни мысалы біз далада көріп, телефон арқылы бағыт.
For instance, we're developing a geodata services. With the help of our mobile application, people will have an online guide outdoors. The application will tell them where to turn left or right. Another function that we're working on is to provide a voice support. In the future, we want to add more functions. For instance, the application will say, "This is your mother, this is your father," or "He smiles."
Яғни, мынау сенің анаң, немесе мынау сенің әкең, ол күлімсіреп тұр деген секілді функцияларды да қосқымыз келеді.
Another team of students developed a project aimed to facilitate operations of emergency services. The developers incorporated fire service, police, and ambulance in one application. The students believe that the project will allow improving the quality of these services. The peculiarity of our mobile application is that a calling person will directly contact a driver. There will be no middleman between them. For example, a dispatcher works in parallel. Using our application, people no longer have to call the emergency numbers such as 101, 102, or 103. They can immediately call the driver, finding him or her on the map. Teachers help to implement ideas to bright students. All projects are relevant and in demand, says the head of development. However, consumers need a quality product where the smallest detail has been thought out. These applications need to be improved. We plan to start implementing in Akhtobia. We have started working with the clinics on the second application. If the testing goes well, then we will talk to the police and fire services. Mobile applications developed by high school students will be presented to the competent jury of the competition in the upcoming months. The competition will be conducted online. Russian youth is learning Kazakh. 15-year-old Ilya Galtsev, born and raised in Russia's Omsk region, is planning to move to the capital of Kazakhstan in the future. He loves beshvarmak and the sounds of the Kazakh traditional musical instrument dombra. He is learning Kazakh on his own.
Уровень казахского языка пока только разговорный. Сәлеметсіз бе, қал қалай, жақсы, там, не істеп жатырсың, ну, то есть вот такое.
Ilya has created a mobile radio application called Kazakh Reysey Radiosu. The radio streams popular Kazakh songs and also Kazakh language audio lessons. My radio is available not only to the Russian audience, but also to German, Ukrainian, Polish, Belarusian, and Czech listeners. I also have listeners who use the application in Canada, South Korea, and other places. More than 90,000 ethnic Kazakhs live in Omsk. Many young people try to learn their native language. Local teacher Kulash Baymasheva has developed her own teaching method and program. I use various methods so students can learn better and memorize the new words easier. They also learn to write and speak. We have enough books. This is a textbook of the Kazakh language. These books are designed for 2nd and 3rd grades. We have literature books as well. Kulash Baymasheva is set to develop a special program for in-depth study of the Kazakh language in Russian schools.
Сейчас нам в школах нужно разработать программы, но и самое главное ввести.
We need to develop the school programs. Most importantly, introduce the Kazakh language textbook into the list of federal state standards. I would like to address this at the level of the ministries of Kazakhstan and Russia. I want children to learn Kazakh as their first language in schools where 100 to 50% of students are ethnic Kazakhs.
И в школах, где есть 50% детей казахской национальности, чтобы вели как родной язык.
9 public associations will be created in order to promote the Kazakh culture in the Omsk region. Now Kazakh teachers want to set up an association. They say that this will help them to develop and preserve the Kazakh language. The plein-air event titled Palette of the Great Steppe brought together artists from 10 countries. 20 painters from Kazakhstan, France, Turkey and Germany arrived in Kazakhstan's Katonkaragay district. The organizers believe that the paintings created at the event will be exhibited at the regional museums to help attract tourists.
Он дает большой отклик в сердцах.
The event is expected to impress the artists who will then leave for other countries. The participants will learn about the landscape, culture and traditions of the Kazakh people and will reflect this knowledge in their artworks. It is a very good and smart policy of the local authorities. There are some well-known artists among the plein-air painters. Bulat Mikibayev has been living in Germany for 22 years. The artist held more than 30 solo exhibitions in Europe and Louvre in particular and is known as a Kazakh artist. The Altai Mountains is the birthplace of all the Turkic people. I have a series of paintings titled The Turkic Worlds. I always remember about my roots and I represent the Turkic culture in Europe. The plein air was organized as part of the modernization of Kazakhstan's identity program and is aimed to advertise East Kazakhstan region. The organizers believe that the event will help promote the Altai Mountains.